at that hair. Come back. Oh, welcome. Hello, everybody. Wasn't that song kind of funny on that video, on Sunday's video? The hat coming off? That's crazy stuff. You know, that hat came off 2 times. It blew off once, and then I was getting fuel, and it blew off another time. That's why I was running all the way in the field. And then somebody commented and said, do you know how many dog poops that hat rolled over? And I'm like, that's such a good point. So that's what you do. That's what you do at a gas station. The dog goes to the bathroom. I didn't even think about that. I picked up the hat, put it right on.
Right back on.
Hey, by the way, can you hear us? Can you hear us? Hello, Trisha.
Hello.
Kind of adjust that a little bit here. Let's make sure the audio is good here before we get too deep. On
the rocks.
I know they can see us.
We made little palomas. You know what those are. Those
yes.
Are
good. Let me move the mic.
A little silver tequila, little agave syrup, and a lot of sparkling water. So if you pour your sparkling water in first and like put a little third down below and then put it in, then your sparkling water kind of gives effervescence to the whole drink.
Yes.
So anyway, it'll slow you down a little.
Yeah.
Sorry. I just hit the table.
I know it's always difficult not to touch the table. So, All right. So let's do this before we jump into the agenda. Have a lot to cover tonight, lots to share.
Yes.
There's some things back up here on the shelf that we want to talk about, giveaway from some tire reminder stuff. And so let's just talk about what would happen if we were to get disconnected for some reason.
It would be a tragedy.
It would be a tragedy. But what I would do is I would figure out what the problem is, and I would get a new unlisted link, and I would go back over to Patreon, and I would say something like, here's the new link, refresh the page, click the new link. It takes about 5 minutes, and everybody shuffles on in here, and we're all good to go.
It's happened a couple times in the past, but right now we are connected to Ethernet.
Look at this.
We have like zooming fast, exceptional.
Streaming fast.
Streaming fast. Well punned there, Mr. Leach.
Yes.
We have streaming fast, really good connection, which we don't always get. So we really appreciate. I think that's one of the best things about kind of like coming home for a couple weeks, leaving for a few months, coming home. You really appreciate all the little things.
Yes.
Your washer and dryer, you just give them a hug. You're just like, hello, I've missed you so much.
Yes.
So,
until Charlie chews through it. Well, he won't chew through it because he doesn't chew things, but he does trip on a lot of things. And so sometimes he's lying down right now, but when we do live streams, it's kind of like a radio show, and our energy is a little bit higher, and he knows something's up. What's going on over there? Why is there nonstop
They're
talking?
very excited over there, so maybe they want to pet me.
Yes, and so he'll start getting excited, and he'll trip on the thing. Anyway, but that's enough about rambling. We got too much to talk about.
Let's run through
the
itinerary.
Go through the agenda.
We have a location update. We have insider trading. If you saw Mark's little trailer,
Let me talk about insider trading. We're going to talk about season 10, of course. We want to talk about summer to remember. We want to talk about the meetups because we are doing our meetup. We want to talk about that. The Eddie interview.
Well done, Eddie.
Yeah, well done.
Very cool.
And then the cookbook. So that's that's a lot of items just in insider trading.
RV tip of the month, giveaway, and a Q&A.
Yes.
So we always appreciate you logging on and giving us a couple of your questions because, it's nice to know what's on your mind. What are you thinking about? What are you tackling? What do you want to know more about? So
Megan, Tim, Emily, Jay, and Tina, we have your questions.
We have your questions, and we are ready to answer them. So let's do this.
Well, hold on. Jennifer says, woohoo, summer to remember. All right, check this out. We're so excited. Look at this.
Look at that.
I think that is a super cool design.
Okay, first, before we give accolades to this, because it's amazing, all of the kids out there, if you have some of the kids at home that submitted their artwork, we have a little thank you letter on the way. And anyway, they were awesome. But I loved seeing people send in the pictures, and kids are like drawing on the counter. They were very serious. They took it very serious. So we're like, what are we going to do for them? And so we're putting together a thank you card. So anyway.
Yeah, but it's great. So Pastor Steve, of course, we're going to talk about this on Sunday's episode. But what I love about this year's design, and really all of them, but especially this year, is one of the things we love so much about Summer Remember is it connects people on trails inside campgrounds, and to have our super distinct design that you can see from far away. It's like, hey, KYD. Hey! And I'm telling you, you will meet the coolest people. You will have so much fun chatting it up. I mean, how do we meet cool people? It's because, hey, KYD. Yeah.
So you have that instant connection out on the road. So anyway, so location update.
We're at the KYD cabin.
We were at the KYD cabin. We drove like maniacs.
Okay, a lot of people wanted to know, why did we do it? I mean, I'm still receiving emails today. What was the big hurry?
Oh, rush. Because Carson came home for spring break.
Yeah.
And so his roommate, Glenn, had never seen the West Coast. So we were like, oh, I can solve that. So anyways, we had Carson and his roommate come home. The spring break was for 2 weeks. His roommate came home for one of those weeks, and we went to California, and we just went on hikes, and we hung out at a house, and we just we did our own little nucleus thing.
Yep.
And it was super fun.
This was our second off-camera family trip.
Yes. And so we got to spend some really quality time with Carson, but then we also got to know his roommate. Usually, like in a normal year, you would get to know like people's family, you get to know the roommate. And now because of COVID, we're not allowed on campus. So so anyway, so it was all great.
I was going to try to find a picture, but I can't find a picture. Anyway, no, it was a great time.
Yes.
And Tori came out and it was all very good.
It was super fun. So, and your mom came.
Oh yeah.
So we had the best time. I just made dinners and we just, I don't know. It was just fun to be together.
Yeah.
So it was just.
So anyway,
really
that was
special.
the hurry. That was the initial hurry to even do it in 4 days. Why did we do it in 2.5 days? It was because of that snow. And I think people can relate. If we would have came in just a few hours later, we would not have been able to put the RV in front of the house. And you saw when we left to Florida how much of a pain it was to get everything packed up in the truck and go bring it to the Airstream in Phoenix. And I thought there's no way that we were going to do that again. No. And the recording, the season premiere of season 10, which is Sunday, was actually a few days after we got home. So that was the other thing. There were a lot of reasons we needed to just do the drive.
I found the picture. Okay. Yeah. So Caleb's new thing with pictures, oh darn, is jumping.
Yeah.
So anyway, so there's Caleb and there's Mark's mom and Victoria and me. Mark was doing some work and there's Glenn and Carson. So anyway, it was just super fun to have time to get to know him.
Yes.
And all of that.
Yeah. So 1,527 miles in 2.5 days. The other trending comment that I saw, now I shouldn't say trending comment, but maybe a little bit cynical in the comments was, you shouldn't be pulling into RV parks at 11:30 at night.
Okay. One of those people might not have realized that there were extra sites for us to do that. But one of the nights we actually accidentally flipped our lights and went right into someone's thing.
Well, it wasn't accidental. We were looking for site 16, but I'll tell you what.
No, I accidentally flipped.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Into someone's back thing. So.
But I will say, in an RV park 5 feet from the interstate, that's pretty much what those RV parks are for. Okay. No one's vacation. When we pulled into Wendy Oaks, which was fine. It was a great park. It was safe and it was right off the freeway. There was a pothole in the freeway. And every time an empty flatbed semi truck hit that pothole, it would just make this loud shake. I hardly slept. So I think a lot of those parks, with the people that come in late, they save some pull through sites in the noisiest spots possible.
Right.
And they're usually very easy to get into. And I think that's important to mention.
And you're so exhausted, you don't care.
You don't care.
You pull in and you go to sleep. But there was one spot in that video. And sometimes you don't even realize what you do wrong until you put it on camera.
So you watch the video?
And then you watch it and you're like, oh, yeah, I did that. Ooh, sorry.
Yeah.
So anyway, so
we're home. We're at the KYD cabin and it's good to be here. And we are going through our final exterior renovations before we hit the road. And it's kind of exciting. I think after this month, the end of this month, we'll be completely done. We did the inside over the last 2 years. The outside is right now, and it is officially done.
Yes. Well, it's done when you put a little solo stove out there and you're like, oh my gosh, our viewers are going to come. They're going to love doing that.
We're digging this solo stove. Sorry, I'm very random. We're digging the solo stove because one match, I can light that thing in one match.
It's very fun. And we sat out there. We just and then we were going to go in. I was like, why are we going to leave this fire? We have to sit out here all night. So we just sat out there for 3 nights.
We did.
And we did a bunch of planning for seasons to come. So let's roll into it.
Okay. Insider trading. Do you want to start with season 10 or do you want to
Is it called The Elephant in the Room? Yeah, we should probably start with that.
Really?
Yeah,
enough teasing. Was that video? Did you see the video? Is that not a big enough tease? I did that only because it's fun.
Yes. Okay, so wait, what is someone saying the cabinet's blocking the wine? Yes, we had to move that wine.
We moved the wine.
Yes.
For the cabinet. The cabinet is actually a pantry.
Yes.
And so that's
need some extra space. I want to leave anybody who stays an Instant Pot. I have a big one that we used to keep in our Momentum that I don't have room for in the Airstream. So I got a small one. If you don't know, the smaller one is 3 quarts. I get this question a lot. That's why I'm sharing.
And I like it that we talked about season 10 and now you're talking about Instant Pots.
so
I mean, it's just cruel.
I'm so sorry.
It's just cruel.
It's just rude. Just rude. Okay. But the smaller one is 3 quarts and it fits beautifully.
Nasty teas.
In your rig. It fits beautifully in your rig. And I have fed 4 people on it and it works really well. Like if you want to do like a roast, I don't really like doing roasts and things, but I love it for rice and eggs and all kinds of stuff. So think about that. If you haven't yet bought one, I feel like the entire universe has bought one, but if you haven't, the 3 quart smaller one, don't get carried away with the gigantic one.
Eric asked if we put this through the cat scale, and we should have. Was Carson here when we brought this in?
Yes, I picked this up.
It is unbelievably heavy, and it took all like 4 of us.
Carved out of a stone.
Yes.
It's so heavy. Yeah. So anyway, but it's really fun. Anyway. And then there's like a little hole right here because we had the electrician come because we have a microwave in there. We really need to talk about season 10.
Well, I mean, you talked about the hole in the wall. So we put recessed lights up on the 2nd floor.
Yes. It was dark. It was very dark.
Peterbilt. I know. Yeah. Or I'm getting to the Peterbilt. No.
This is going to be way too long. We need to keep going.
Let me just say the story. So we got recessed lights put in the upstairs because this is a vacation rental. I don't like that walking into a dark room. I've never liked walking into a dark room.
Oh, when you're in a new place.
When you're in a new place, I
room.
like a very obvious new stairs. Like, dude, I like the switch on the wall so the lights go on. So anyway, so the electrician comes and he puts 4 recessed lighting on top, and then he opens up one and it's damp. And he says, it's damp. And there's absolutely been no leaks whatsoever. So what it is, it's a ventilation. What agenda?
What agenda?
Okay. Anyway, it's a ventilation issue. The roofer's coming tomorrow and he's putting up a little ventilation along the entire ridge of the house that'll ventilate it out.
You know what it's like to have a house, okay? You think that you're just going to paint something.
All right.
And then there's bigger issues.
All right, we can't continue this.
Season 10.
Season 10.
Will you say it?
Okay. Here's the deal. We couldn't exactly decide on, we wanted to have motorized experience.
Yes.
Right?
We have little to none. For anybody who watched the New Zealand season.
Just the New Zealand.
We had a motorized rig then and we destroyed it.
And we did.
So
we wanted to have a lot more motorized experience, and we couldn't exactly decide on exactly which direction we went. And we love, and I think you know this about us, we love being in learning mode.
Yes.
I mean, not that we love being overwhelmed and kind of nervous and all that stuff, but we like relating to people who are in that situation.
Well, people ask questions and we'd like to have the answer.
Exactly.
So it's not like our answers are always correct.
No.
But at least they're our experience. And if we don't have an experience, we can't share that experience.
Ms. is waiting for a commercial break. Anyway, so what we decided to do to kick off season 10 is to do the A, B's, and C's of motorized RV travel.
Yes.
So what we did is we rented that RV you saw. We rented the Winnebago Tour triple axle diesel pusher, 450 horsepower.
Does anyone here have a diesel pusher?
Yes.
Yes, I know. I want to see. I want to see who has a diesel pusher.
Yeah.
Okay, because you're amazing. All right? Because we got in that thing and I was like, do we have to leave the parking lot? Because this is so big.
It was.
It is so wide. And so many people have talked to us about the front window.
The
and
panoramic.
I was like, I have a pretty big window in the truck, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like I get it. You know, you're driving down the road. It's gorgeous. It's spectacular. You can open up the sunroof. You can see. There is nothing that compares to a Class A window.
There's a lot of 450 and 500 horsepower guys. Yeah. Tom with the 500 horsepower. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember.
That window is insane.
Yeah.
And so we went first to Sedona. And in the morning, we open up the window and I'm sitting in the front.
No. You mean open up the window.
Yeah. And I'm having coffee and the whole thing. And it was spectacular.
It was. The videos should be pretty good of going through. We took the Class A, the diesel pusher, to the Grand Canyon, and we hiked the Grand Canyon. So that will be Sunday's season premiere. We stopped in Sedona on the way. Okay. Then once we were done with the Class A, then we went and we picked up the Class C that you saw in our little tease video. And now here shortly, Trish and I, not Charlie and Caleb, are going on a stand-up paddleboard Class B trip. And so we're really just being ultra transparent and sharing
it go?
what we're now, I think, calling the good, the bad, and the funny of this
Ridiculous
motorized
is
RV
really what we should call
stuff. And it's been really enlightening.
It has. Well, Charlie does not like any of the
Charlie
his whole
hates it.
body shakes.
He hates it.
And then he sits by the front door and he literally just pushes his nose against the glass. He's like, and then he looks back, he goes, I know you know how to open this door. And I'm ready to leave. So his whole body shakes. So then he has to like literally sit in our lap, whomever is in the
videos are going to, the comments in the video are going to be atrocious because it
looks like we're totally abusing
because
the dog.
Caleb and Charlie are in the passenger seat, and we already get enough grief about seatbelts, but the whole thing is so unbelievably unsafe.
Yeah. So how do you help your dog, or did they just get used to it? Because we've never had an animal issue, and this is like a severe animal issue. Like he would not get back.
Well, I think if Charlie would have been a puppy from the beginning, he wouldn't know the difference.
But so many people are like, okay, I'm retiring. I'm getting my Class A and I'm bringing my dogs.
Here's what it is. Charlie does not like everything moving down below him. In fact, even in the Class C, we went to Lost Dutchman. I didn't realize that it didn't get a site with water and electric, which is probably how I got a site in the first place. So anyway, we have to run the generator just to like make coffee, which we didn't. We actually poured over and then we ran it later. But even when I run the generator, he feels the floor. He goes to the passenger seat and sits down. He wants nothing to do with this moving floor.
Oh, a nice new bed. Yes.
Just take Charlie to Buc-ee's.
Okay. Speaking of CBD for pets. Okay. So one time. My dad, they were like first married, right? And they wanted to rent this house in San Diego and it said no pets. And so he reached out and he said, we just have this dog. And he's like super nice. And the dog was a spaz. I mean, total spaz. So he gives him Benadryl, but he didn't realize you're supposed to like tailor it back for the dog, you know? So anyway, he says, Trish, this dog was in my arms with like his head like drooped over. His tongue was practically like hanging out. And the owner was like, this is the nicest dog I've ever met. No problem. And so anyway, I was like, oh, okay, interesting. So never believe anybody about their animals.
Yeah, well, that is true. Kara asked, where can you find this teaser video? So like the post in Patreon right before this is a video and you can play it. We kind of showed a few little clips.
Yeah.
Of that whole experience. So it has been, Trish and I are legitimately looking forward to this Class B trip. I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be fun. We have no reservations because it's Class B and it's stand-up paddleboard trips. So we're going to dry camp and things like that. But the Class A was enlightening. The Class C was difficult.
It was, but it was more about the fact that the rig was kind of a piece. And so, sorry. And so anyway, we had a rig, a line, and it was all like really great, really beautiful. And the gentleman said, oh, I don't want to rent it anymore, like the night before.
Well, he had an RV Class C. It was really nice. I was really interested in it. And I happened to see that exact same rig from the picture was available on RV Trader. So I emailed him and I said, hey, I happen to see that this RV for rent is also for sale and this trip isn't for another month. So like, what if you sell it? We still gonna, he said, no, we're good. If you book it, man, you're good to go. And I'm like, okay, great. So I booked it. The night before we left, he cancels the reservation and says, sorry, I had a really bad experience and I've just decided to sell it. And I'm like, dude, but hold on. I'm like, I asked you specifically this question, but that by this time there wasn't really good like bonding and rapport. So it's like it wouldn't have been good to proceed anyway.
Yes.
I mean, I was diplomatic about it, but it was like at some point you want to push it. And then what if we had a problem after we like convinced him to do it? We don't mention KYD in any of these situations. So
we found another place to rent the rig from. So
and it wasn't as nice.
It wasn't as nice, but we made it an adventure.
So
it was great.
We want to talk about the KYD Peterbilt then?
Yeah. So cute. Isn't he cute? Isn't he precious? Yes.
Isn't he precious?
Are you going to teach Caleb
Matthew
how to drive 18? What is it? 18?
18. We're going to split the gears. You're going to split the gears.
And you do. Yes. All that.
That's right.
Okay. That was one thing that and I would like to hear, because again, people email all the time. Tricia, how did you get the courage to drive the rig? And I guess I never really thought about it because it was just the truck. I mean, it was a big rig, but it was still our truck. And so I had some level of security and knowing how it operated. We got in that Class A and I felt like I was like hostage because, well, first of all, I wasn't allowed to drive it because my name wasn't on it. It was just you. Yeah. And then, but I could have
put your name on it. I figured you didn't want to.
I did not want to drive it, not until I had like some kind of class or whatever. So that's another thing I would love to talk about is how do whichever person is least comfortable with the rig, how do they get over that and start driving? You know what I mean?
Because I think it's start small, start now, right?
There's no starting small with
I know, but there's starting in environments that are environment that is more conducive. The same thing is like helping Caleb back in a trailer. We pick environments that are good for backing in, build some confidence, and then you get more advanced. Like you were just driving to those concrete barriers, 11:30 at night, and
floating. You were driving.
We were floating. We were floating.
Yeah. Anyway, there's so much to talk about that.
Well, Penelope says she'd take a class, but I'll tell you what.
Yeah, I agree with you, Penelope.
It's unbelievable to me that anybody would let someone get into a 43-foot tag axle diesel pusher, okay, without
no credentials
whatsoever. Even when you bareboat a sailboat, you have to submit a resume
of what you've
done, right? Yes. I mean, nothing. I'm like, I am in a bus, right?
Yeah, we didn't say like, hey, we've done this for years.
You know what they said though?
What?
I think in their defense, there is anyone who would rent these things. In their defense, they said people tend not to rent these things unless if they know. And I think that's a fair point. Like how you're feeling about driving.
How I'm feeling about driving.
Who would do that, right?
To themselves.
And I'm like, well, there is insurance on the thing, right? But it was, get this. I said, so what's the insurance? Should something happen? He's like, it's like $2,000 to $4,000. I'm like, oh, $2,000 to $4,000. That's good. So that's great.
Huge range.
Yeah. But anyway, it didn't matter. Anyway, it all went well. And I'll tell you what, it was fun to drive. You'll see in the videos, it was fun to drive. And we mentioned, there's also a little fatiguing to drive at times. I think that would diminish over time. It would just become like a normal thing. But I'll tell you what, I'm making those turns. It was cool. The only thing I didn't like about it is Trish and I, the Super Duty is so solid. It's so quiet. Yeah. It's so easy to drive.
Anybody that has a truck.
Yeah, but the 3/4 ton or 1 ton truck,
that's true.
Diesel with air. It's just an adaptive cruise control. We just talk. We talk all the time. That's why we get so many bad ideas. Is we talk too much.
Let's rent new rigs and go and put ourselves through this all the time.
And I have found in our motorizer experience, we're not talking, I'm driving.
Yes.
And so
I'm giving directions. It's very intense.
And so I'm sure over time that would just become normal and we'd go back to talking, but it is also louder. So anyway, but all this we will share in the kickoff to season 10.
So that's season 10. First. It's renting rigs. What do we like? What do we not like? How can we help people? What are we going to learn so we can share all that?
So the Airstream is not going anywhere.
No.
And
I love the Airstream so much more now. And that's not even fair to say. It's only because I know what I have, what I can rely on.
Yeah.
And so if you are renting a rig, that's just one of the fatigue points is that if you're trying to figure out what kind of rig you want, and you rent a rig, or maybe you never plan on owning a rig and you just rent rigs once in a while, because not everyone here owns a rig.
Yeah.
And so that's just one of the fatigue points is just knowing that you're not going to know what you could really rely on. And so try and just be very flexible.
Yes.
Okay.
So then once we kick off season 10, it's very important to Trish, and we're going to probably talk about this in the videos, as our kids get older, things change.
Yes.
And Trish really wants the boys to have a summer job. And so everything's kind of tentative a little bit, but the wheels are moving around the boys getting summer jobs out in Michigan. So we'll probably go back out to Michigan in the summer because we have kind of a large community out there and support so the boys can have. And I think this is important too, because we've been at this for 5 years and now Carson's 17. In fact, that was one of the questions that Emily asked is, will Carson join us this summer? And, the answer is no.
I'm like, yes.
Oh, well, no. For travel.
No, we're not traveling in the rig with a 6'1".
Yeah. No, he's not 6'1".
What is he now?
He's as tall as I am.
He's like this much taller than you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
But the point is Trish wants to incorporate kind of like a normal summer, get a job and hang out with friends and that kind of stuff.
To have a summer job, to know how to drive, to know how to socialize, to know how to show up on time, know how to be responsible.
So that is her. That's her goal. Caleb is now looking over here. That's her goal for the summer, and so we'll probably do that.
I like how it's my goal.
Well, it is your goal,
but it is my goal.
It is your goal,
and
I support the goal. But you are carrying the torch.
I am carrying the torch. So anyway. Let's see. Did I ever drive the Momentum? Yes.
Oh yeah, you were great at driving.
Yeah, I love driving, and it had a really great access point or axis.
Yeah, access. Yeah,
AXIS.
turning.
Turning radius.
You could turn it 92 degrees.
You know what I'm trying to say? Yeah, it was.
We probably. You'll be at Mackinac 4th of July is pretty cool.
No way.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. So anyway, so that's probably where we'll be out the summer, but we're still going to travel, and then we're going to have to decide. We'll probably. Fingers crossed, we don't think Canada's going to open its borders by August. But if it did, we'd take another shot at Nova Scotia.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And if it doesn't, then we're going to
We miss you, Canada. We miss you.
Yeah, we do.
So gorgeous.
Yeah, even Charlie. Charlie's Canadian humor, I thought that was pretty good on Charlie's part, wasn't it? All right, can we mix in another Q&A?
Okay.
Let's see. Who asked about Charlie's voice? Lots of people asked about Charlie's voice, but Tim was the first, I think, about Charlie's voice. So Caleb had a really good reply. He says, what voice? You shouldn't know anything about the voice. I thought that was a good idea. So I want to talk.
You know why he said that is because Charlie only talks when we're gone.
And that was a rule we established when Charlie's voice came on the scene. We all decided Charlie should not talk when we're around. It should be something that happens, kind of like Alf, right?
Well, Alf was a member of the family, I think.
Did he talk?
Yeah.
He didn't talk with public though, did he?
I think he talked with the whole family.
Okay.
I don't remember.
Other children of the 80s can chime in here. So anyway,
Caleb is going to work at Techno RV. I'm telling you right now, if he was there, I don't know if they'd get anything done. They'd be goofing off all day long.
How funny was that? They really had a
so awesome. Had a good time. We had a lot of fun.
So anyway, the other thing, Trish and I went on a hike a couple of days ago. More talking time. And Trish said something really profound. She says, I really don't think that we are able to plan beyond 3 to 6 months. Like, I don't think we can see beyond 6 months. Like, we have long-term plans, but it was kind of a relief to me because sometimes we're always trying to figure out
move the
coconuts, and you can't move the coconuts past a certain point. You can move the big rocks, but not the coconuts.
Right.
We got rocks, we got coconuts.
Like say this is important to me, and then we'll do things around that important thing.
And so anyway, we don't know past August. We don't know. Are we going to go east or are we going to go west? So we don't really know.
And then someone's saying, are there travel restrictions in the U.S.? It's just case by case. So, yeah.
I will say, though, from our experience, and we've been across the country and back twice during COVID, I would say the COVID restrictions are...
Well, after the quarantine.
Yeah, after the quarantine, I would say they are negligible. I mean, it's hard to even really know. It's by county.
It's exactly.
It's by county.
You got to do a lot of reading because this is another question we get quite often. I don't know what I'm going to encounter. You have to just do a very minimal amount of research and find out exactly what's happening, not in the state and you have to go down to the town you're visiting.
The thing about RVers, though, is we as RVers are not subject to a lot of the same restrictions that are enforced on airports, hotels, taxi cabs, that type of travel.
RVers are independent. They're very self-contained. They're very like, this is what I'm doing. And I love ordering groceries online. I love it. So if you have a Walmart account, if you have a Target, if you have Whole Foods, fries, I've got it all, okay, on my phone. Where am I? And then I try and figure it out. And then you just do curbside. You make a menu, you order what you want, you pull in, they bring you your stuff, you say thank you, you leave them a tip, and you are done. So, it's not as confusing because that's one of the things when you're going to a new town all the time, you're constantly learning a new grocery store. And that might not seem like a big deal, but if you're trying to feed like a family and you're like, wait a minute, I'm not getting the things I need. That's just a tip for you, especially if you're like, I kind of want to reduce my hanging out with large groups of people.
Yes.
It just depends case by case how you feel about it. But
Alfred sensing ADD here,
hardcore. You guys knew
is this your first live stream, Alfred?
You knew that already.
The videos on Sunday are edited, right?
These are non-edited.
So let's talk about, so we talked about season 10. You kind of have an idea what's happening for season 10, which would be kind of cool. We talked about Summer to Remember, but Sue just asked when do we get the merch. So that's Sunday. We're going to kick off season 10 and the Summer to Remember, which we're super excited about.
So cool.
And then let's talk about meetups.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Real quick though. Summer Remember always has, okay. Summer Remember always has a poster. Okay. And we really, really, really encourage you to print it off, because when you write something down, you become motivated to do it. And these are not like I'm climbing Mount Everest kind of things, but I received a message on Instagram recently, and the woman said, when are you going to put your poster up? She said, I have done so many things the past few summers because of that poster. And she said, my husband, the first year, so it's just a couple. They're not even doing it for like kids, you know, that we always say that this is not for kids. This is for adults. So, and kids, like family, well, whomever. Yeah. So anyway, she said the first year my husband gave me a hard time, and he's like, this is so cheesy. And she's like, whatever, just we're doing it. So anyway, and so now he's requesting it too. So anyway, we always put that up. It's totally for free. You can print it on your printer. You can send it to wherever, you can write whatever, but it's super fun. Get your whole crew, whomever you travel with, involved, and maybe plan some fun little things on there, and just give yourself a reason to go do something different.
It's fun to check stuff up. I think, who was it? Some personal development guru from back in the day.
Yeah.
Like Vanderbilt.
Okay.
So what is measured improves. And I think, and then I think it was Covey that actually narrowed it down to 40%. I think he calculated a 40% improvement on things that are measured improves by 40%. Just simply writing down what you're going to do, big or small, it happens. Anyway, a couple questions while you were talking about where to print it. When's it available? So it's available Sunday. And where can you download it? We'll make the download in all this summer. Remember,
and we'll put it in the
it'll all be available
too,
Sunday.
so
This is going to be a very busy week.
Very
busy week. All right, meetups. All right, so all right, here's the deal on meetups. We have waited to do a meetup until we felt like we could do it in such a way that KYD and the KYD insiders was not going to become like a source of controversy, so to speak, right?
Well, we don't want to put people at risk.
We don't want to put people at risk, and we don't want there to become mutiny in terms of how it's handled and things of that nature, right? To be totally transparent. Right. So what we decided to do, because we have a very good understanding of how meetups go, and typically it's about 50 people all within really close to each other, all talking to each other. And we're like, that's not the best environment.
It's not going to work out very well.
Yeah. So what we decided to do, and the first one's going to be next Friday. We don't know about the second one, but the first one's going to be next Friday in Phoenix. We decided to do a stand-up paddleboard trip.
So the theme here, while we're trying to figure out how to do this in a responsible, fun, exciting way, is to do something together that's outside, and we're all like doing something and not just standing around really close. So so the first one is not necessarily indicative of how they're all going to go, but we just thought, okay, let's try our hand at this. And the people that let us borrow the no snowboards for the Florida season.
Actually, let me interrupt you real quick, because Eric said a stand-up paddleboard trip in the desert. You're absolutely right. It's the Salt River. It's flowing like crazy right now. And this time of year, there's wild horses that come down there. Yeah. And so the wild
can't guarantee anything.
The wild horses are there. And so our thinking was that, you know, for those that might be maybe a little bit uncomfortable in group settings, sounds like it would be a great way for them to just kind of like manage themselves on a stand-up paddleboard. And then you can kind of like,
okay, but I also want to have a conversation.
Yes to kayaks. Yes to anything with a paddle.
Anything with a paddle.
No to anything inflatable. So
and then No Snow has 50 boards available to rent for just under $35.
Well, let me cover the basics.
I want to just say this really quick, okay? Because I think this is really important. I think that sometimes it's okay to say no. So if you're in the Phoenix area, or whenever we decide to do something, we find something cool to do as we travel, it's okay to say no. Don't put yourself in a situation that you're uncomfortable with. So if you're uncomfortable with 50 people getting together, even though it's outside and we're going to try and be as separate, but kind of together and whatever, however that ends up, you know, Mark and I are not going to be wearing a mask. We're going to be outside paddling. We're going to try and keep our distance, but we're going to have lots of fun. But if you don't feel comfortable with that, do not come. Yeah. Because we've been doing meetups for 2 years. We had to take a year off.
More than that.
No, we did 2 years.
Oh, I see.
We had to take a year off. And now we're trying to figure out how to do it again, because this is a special relationship that we like to have. And so, but it will happen again at a time where you feel comfortable.
Yes.
So we just want to give you that freedom to say, this is what I need to do for me. And also, like, if this isn't right for you, don't do it.
And just to drive that point home, and not to be like Debbie Downer, but like Tori actually has COVID right now.
Yeah.
She's doing fine.
Seen her.
We haven't seen her.
People are like, well, I'm not going.
Yeah, I'm not going. No,
we have not seen her. We haven't been around.
But I'll tell you something really interesting. It was the day before Easter.
Yes.
And she called us up and she says, you know, I'm not really feeling that well, and I had a cough. And we said, you know what?
Don't
just go home. and don't come. And she says, okay. And this is Easter.
Yeah.
And I know she wanted to come and she didn't. And the next day she got tested.
Yeah.
So COVID is still
it was super easy, like for her, because she's young and she's not in that high risk situation.
Yeah, she's doing fine.
It was 3 days. She's staying completely in her room for 2 weeks. We had food delivered to her door, all the whole thing.
More of that food delivery.
Yeah, more of that food delivery. I'm telling you, it's like a game changer.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
but anyway, I say that only because if you're not feeling well, don't come. If you're uncomfortable, don't come.
Yeah.
And
because there'll be more opportunities.
There will be.
And, you know, I think the most important thing in a relationship is like where you stand. Like you want to show up. Like we want to see you. And so like we'll figure out another way later. So I just think that, you know, having that freedom to know this is not the end all be all.
Okay. So let me recap. The stand-up paddleboard trip is not indicative of future meetups, but what is indicative of future meetups is some sort of event that we can do. So maybe it'd be a farmer's market, or I saw somebody sing a ropes course. We would like to.
That would be a blast.
Yeah, we would like to do things.
We want to do something. We also don't want there to be a charge every time.
Yeah.
Like,
I forgot that. I got to cover these details.
Not getting any of
Okay.
this.
So this is if you have something that floats, kayak, canoe, stand-up paddleboard. Canoe's marginal because there's rocks, but kayak, stand-up paddleboard. Just bring it. And we'll send you the details and I'll show you where the form is.
There'll be a sign up.
If you need to rent a board, it's $32.50, which is a heavily discounted rate by No Snow. We have up to 50 boards.
Yep.
We have no idea what to do if there are more than 50 people that want to come.
I guess there'll be a wait list.
Okay. Yeah, there'll be a wait list or we'll have to like figure something out. So after this live, I will post a link to sign up if you're interested. And then on Wednesday, we'll send out the link to reserve a board. And like I said, if you have one, you can sign up and then you don't have to worry about the reservation and we'll send you the stuff. Right. So that's so $32.50. Like Trish said, it's not, we're not taking any proceeds from this, whatever. No. It's just going to No Snow for the board rental. They're doing a ton of logistics and moving all the boards to the salt rip. They're doing everything.
Yeah. They have to pay for whoever is helping do all of that work. It's a lot of work.
And then going forward, we just want to find different things. Like, I don't know, maybe I know Brad from Trail Recon.
My husband floats in the pool. Does that count? Yes.
Yes.
In Phoenix, that does count.
Yes. I know Brad from Trail Recon did something at like a car museum, but that's a little bit more indicative of a normal meetup because everybody's just kind of like standing and talking.
Someone was saying a brewery. So we just want to make sure in the beginning of this new, it's changing a little bit.
The transition, like we're in the time period right now where VHSs and the DVD, the VHS and the DVD are in the same machine. Okay. That's where we are right now.
Oregon, come back. We were literally just looking at Oregon last night. So anyway, we're not doing that this summer because like we said, we really want the boys to get jobs. I really want to get the boys jobs. So anyway.
I sense sarcasm.
There's a lot of sarcasm. So anyway.
But yes, tentatively will probably be up the West Coast next summer.
Yes, hopefully.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We don't know. Maybe
we'll
be back in Nova Scotia. Maybe we'll be back in Nova Scotia.
Okay, let's keep going.
Okay, so we talked about summer, remember? We talked about season 10. We talked about the meetups. All right, real quick on the Eddie interview. So Eddie did a great job.
I'm looking at these.
And Eddie, the interview is 1 hour and 45 minutes. And Dean has already edited it, and it's ready to go. So we just have to kind of post it to the podcast. I was kind of wondering maybe we should break it up into 2 or just do one super long one. What do you think?
One.
It's 1 hour and 45 minutes. Eddie kind of got into the backstory. He asked us a whole bunch of questions. It was a great interview to just kind of like get to know maybe us, the backstory, KYD, how it came about, where is it going, what are our obstacles, stuff like that.
He was so kind that he did like the research and he came up with really great questions, and they were obviously upvoted by you.
Yeah,
we put them out there, and then
I'm seeing comments like 1 hour is super long and 1 hour. But here's the deal: to me, like if I listen to like Joe Rogan or something on a 2-hour podcast, it doesn't really matter to me because I'm in and out of the car and I'm hiking.
Who is Eddie? He's a fellow insider.
Yeah, he's an insider.
Yes.
And he's here. His icon is though. I don't want to give away his icon, his profile, because I've done that once. But
yes.
Anyway, so not cousin Eddie, but how funny was it that Eric from Techno RV? So many people said that he sounded like cousin Eddie. So he texts
Mark and he says, "Well, I guess I can't disagree."
He says a lot of comments about me sound like cousin Eddie. I can't disagree with that. Anyway, so all right, well, we'll decide. 1 hour is fine. Well, no, it's 1 hour and 45, Michelle. It's 1 hour and 45 minutes. But I think it was kind of good.
It would just be a podcast.
Okay, so last thing on the insider trading list. We've never had so many things on insider trading. A lot of people are asking about the cookbook.
Oh my gosh.
So
Okay.
Trish has some, well, before you show that real quick,
Why?
well, I mean, you want to show that, but
Okay.
our target is early June.
Yes. Okay, but this is like real now.
We will be quasi done this Friday. Okay.
That's not happening. It's not done on Friday.
No, it's not. It's not. But our goal is to go to print sometime in May and have it done. But Trish has some little samples here for you.
It's actually getting done.
Yeah.
So these are some of the pages that just came back so that I can edit them.
Mm-hmm.
So we got a smoked salmon. Dun, 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 dun. These are appetizers.
But
yeah.
It's looking like it's going to be a hardcover cookbook. We don't know how many pages yet, but it's going to be somewhere around like 275 some pages. And it is, I think, awesome. I think Trish has done an awesome job. I think the design is terrific. But you're going to show them their little spices right there too?
Okay, you want to see something? I wasn't going to bring it up.
You weren't going to bring it up?
I wasn't going to bring it up.
Well, bring over some, anyway, so.
Okay, I'll bring over my 2 things.
It's pretty exciting. And I know Trish is super excited about it. She's also super nervous about it. And so, rightfully so. It's a labor of love. As is your
Are they KYD 55 approved? You know what? They're in sections. So, salads, light bites, bowls, grill and chill. These are the different chapters.
Yes.
Those are totally, but when you get into comfort foods, I have made Mark
oh my
eat
gosh.
so many pot pies.
Well, because she was trying to get it right. And I said to Trish, you're not seriously going to make that again tonight.
That's what we're having for dinner tonight.
The comfort food section is my nemesis.
It is my nemesis too. It's just not the way I normally cook, but I do special things like in the winter. And so I just thought, well, I got to do a comfort foods. Anyway, so you all remember Bree from Olivelli. We've cooked with her twice in Montana. So anyway, I created my rubs so that you can cook easily because recipes are amazing, but sometimes you just want to cut to the chase.
Yeah.
Like, just give me the spices. I want to know what to put on the chicken.
Yeah.
So, anyway, there's a taco, there's a go-to garlic salt, pecan. That's more for like your, roasts and things like that. Lemon herb. And then my personal favorite, sweet heat. So,
this is stuff that Trish has been cooking with for a very long time. So now it is into a recipe and a rub and a go-to.
It was so much fun. And like putting on the little net on my hair and like going back and sharing my recipes. And then Bree is like, if you've ever tasted anything from Olivelli, that's like the word olive, LLE. Mm-hmm. You can look up her company. So anyway, if you've ever tasted anything, it's like what you thought aged vinegar should taste like, and then bumped up times 10. So she was like, okay, I see you on that, but I raise you on this. And it was like, yes. So anyway.
But what's really great is sometimes, so we've been traveling with these spices, but not in this branding and packaging for all of last season. Mm-hmm. And then when Trish ran out, she was really in a pickle.
I was, because I've like become accustomed to using them.
So anyway, we're shooting for early June. It's been a ton of work, but Trish has done a great job, and it's very exciting.
Okay, we're moving on.
Okay.
So our RV tip of the month.
RV tip of the month.
Let's talk about decluttering, because that is a huge question that we've been getting, and I just want to redirect anyone who is trying to declutter or do kind of a minimalist, just bring down the stuff, right? There is a YouTube channel called Minimalist Mom. And during COVID, during the quarantine, I saw her and I was like, oh, she's really great. Super down to earth. She like gives good practical tips. She was 50,000. She's like 400, I think now. She just like skyrocketed this year. So anyway, so if you check out Minimalist Mom, go to her channel, go to the videos, and then search like a topic you want. Someone talked about toys specifically in the insiders. And so I didn't see anything from her, but because I stopped watching after quarantine because I just didn't have time to be doing that. So anyway, but we like the idea that you have a container and whatever can fit in the container is what you use. And then everything else gets stashed away in a Tupperware that is concealed. Not like a see-through Tupperware. Like if you're talking about kids' toys, you can't have see-through Tupperware when you pull in the garage and they're looking at a truck and they're like, I want that. So, put your favorite things in this box And then whatever it is for you, like when we moved out of our house, we gave Victoria, I think like 3 boxes. And we said, whatever you can fit in these boxes is the most important stuff to you, and we will store them. And then we had like 3 little Tupperwares. These are the things that you can bring with you in the rig. And so she surprisingly, because she, out of everyone in our family, loves things. And so she did really well.
Yes, the 4th of July hat fit in the container.
Of
course it did.
She did really well with that. So I don't know, take that as like a springboard, and maybe you could use that. But Minimalist Mom, she does a really good job.
4th of July hat.
4th of July. It's upstairs.
Can you please pack that?
It's upstairs.
What about the top hat? We taking the top hat?
That's upstairs.
Yeah, there was a little bit of controversy in the KYD cabin earlier today because I said that, remember my idea where whatever we pack in the house, whatever we decorate for Christmas in the house is what we're going to use. And then anything left is what we're going to like donate. And Trisha said, yeah, that was my idea. I said, no, that was my idea. And apparently there was a disagreement as to whose idea that was.
I said, I just want you to think about that for a minute. Could you imagine if you told me that whatever you use this year for Christmas is what we're keeping, and if you don't use it, we're throwing it away? I would have used every single ornament.
Well, that's a fair point.
All right.
That's
so it was my idea. I was ready to start releasing some things.
That's a fair point.
So when you're ready to start releasing some things, maybe take it on in a season and say, whatever I'm using, these are the things I actually like.
It's just amazing how much stuff we don't use, though. But I don't think until it's isolated into a separate area for you to physically see that you do not use these things is the moment you, like, for instance, like if you take clothes and you hang them up like over there, and then and then if you wear them, you put them over here, then you see how few clothes you actually wear.
Yes. Okay. But here's one of the things that you may or may not realize. We have an emotional connection to our things for many reasons, whether they're sentimental or whatnot. But one of the things is that we spent our hard-earned money on them, right? And so you're like, well, I know that I have 4 black tank tops and I only wear 1, but that would not be at some level. I think sometimes we think, is it irresponsible to be getting rid of things because you're like letting go? But when you move into a smaller space, you realize, okay, I have to have one thing that serves multiple purposes that I really like.
So I'm reading the comments, and it started off with the 4th of July hat, and then it went to the top hat, and then it went to Uncle Gus. First, it started with the tiny hand, and then the mullet and the Oakley glasses.
I can't believe we didn't get more comments about the tiny hand on the
King Ranch logo.
The King Ranch logo,
and so it's like a variety show. I had no idea, but I just think we like things like that. So yes, all the KYD costumes.
How is it that we end up with these
I don't know
things?
how we end up with these things,
I think
it's
actually
funny.
The costume ear.
I'm not big into it, but it just makes me. It just makes it. It's just so funny.
Find
it's
things
just
and you're
so
like,
funny.
I know when he's ordered something because he starts snickering, like he's like, and I'm like, oh, something's coming. And, this is gonna
and the mullet came, and I'll tell you what, that mullet.
We got a lot of joy.
That mullet delivered. It did. It did. And Caleb and his voice. And Caleb.
That's not something you can pass down to someone. You can't be like, you know what? We've used this. Would you like this?
I think you can.
It's so.
I think when it comes to a mullet, I actually think that's
so
expected.
Okay, so we talked about decluttering kids' toys. Let's get to the giveaway. We do a giveaway. Any of you that are new here, welcome. If this is your first live stream, obviously it's a little scattered because that's how we operate. So anyway, but we're doing a giveaway. We do a giveaway every single month. So,
Tina said the tiny hand is very SNL. The other thing we didn't get, like when Trish went like this on the episode, like I thought more people think that's funny.
I mean, old school SNL.
We like old school SNL like this. The dolphin. There's so many little tiny jokes that come in.
I know you're a shark.
I know you're a shark. I know you're a shark.
Okay. So anyway,
had my first blowout. With stock TPMS, didn't even register Saturday.
Yeah, we have experienced that. Yeah. After you've ripped out the entire bottom of your rig, it's like, oh, hey, by the way, you should probably check that. That's what our first $99 unit did.
Yeah, exactly. Remember that flat tire in Montreal?
Okay, so I'm bringing this over.
Yeah, so this is kind of interesting. So like sometimes
I'm bringing this. Is there anything else over here?
No, I don't think so. Okay. You could bring over the tire, the TPMS system.
Oh, okay. Tire minder.
So you'll see this in unfortunately it's dead, but you'll see this when we rent the Class C. So when we do the Class C, we got the Subaru all set up for flat towing. So we put the Roadmaster base plate on there. We got the Roadmaster bars, and that was kind of a cool experience to do.
Yeah, big time.
We ended up doing the InvisiBrake braking system so that it could be gas, like a gas or diesel, meaning air or non-air. So like, for instance, if we were to have towed the Subaru behind that Class A, which we didn't, because we did not, we wanted to focus on the Class A, and we didn't want to have to worry about the Subaru also. And here's the other thing, because this whole season 10 thing about renting these RVs is about testing and trialing different things. We're like, people write in all the time, I'm going on a trip and I don't know if I should set my rig up to tow my tow vehicle, but it's a Class C. What do you think it'd be like? So I'm like, let's go to the Grand Canyon through Sedona without a tow vehicle just to see how big of an inconvenience it is.
We should have brought bikes. It was
an inconvenience.
It was a little bit.
Okay, now granted, a Class C, you could take the Class C out. We're not taking this like diesel pusher down into Talakapaka for the day. Okay.
Well, there's no room to park.
No.
And then we went and hiked in the Grand Canyon, and the hike was like 3 miles or whatever. Not a big deal, but we could have gone to the 6-mile hike, which would have been, I think, even more spectacular. And instead, we walked 1.5 miles one way just to get to the
we walked 2.5 miles to get to the trailhead.
And then
so we're 5 some miles before we even do the hike.
In here.
Anyway.
Okay.
So someone asked what my recommendation is for TPMS.
Give Mark a Bronco. I think that's a good idea.
I'm out on the Bronco now.
He's ready.
It's all Peterbilt. It's all Peterbilt. I'll tell you what. Look, I'm a Ford guy, okay? And I know COVID happened and that set Ford back, okay? So I'll give them that.
Okay.
A lot of hype around the Bronco. And then they didn't deliver. So it's like, look, if you're going to build the hype and not deliver, I'm off to a Peterbilt.
I don't understand.
They're still not delivering the Bronco. I know the sports are available, but they're still not delivering the Bronco. So
the one you want.
Too much hype, not fast enough delivery. I know about COVID. We're on to the Peterbilt.
Oh, okay.
Pick a dog, Trish. Pick a dog.
Now I know.
Okay. Anyway, so we've been using the TST system, which has been great. It's been absolutely no issues whatsoever.
None.
But
Very nice.
I wish I could turn this on because this screen, a little dirty, but this screen is really, really cool. Look,
really
you can
nice.
even see us.
You can see us inside the screen.
Anyway, this screen is fantastic. What I like about this particular tire minder, in addition to the price, because it is, I don't know if it's less than it's
comparable.
It's comparable, but it has the booster, which for long travel trailers, or Class A's with a tow vehicle. Anyway, you can see all 4 or 6 or 8 tire pressures on the screen at one time, whereas the TST rotates through them. And so when I'm driving down the road and I want to know my pressures, it's, I get the pressure and I'm like, all right, commit that to memory. And then I'm driving and I get the next one. I'm like, which tire was that? And then I'm like reading off numbers. What? And I'm trying to figure out, anyway, it's not, I'm over dramatizing it.
Yes.
But anyway, I like that I can see them all. And so I'm really digging this. So we put the TPMS sensors on the Subaru, and then we plugged this into the Class C, because what Eric and I think a lot of motorized RVers will tell you is that you do not want a flat tire on while you're towing your tow vehicle, because you won't know about it. So the other thing we did the Invisalign. I think not Invisalign.
That's like braces.
It's braces. Anyway, InvisiBrake. We did the InvisiBrake so that we could tow the Subaru with a gas Class C or a Class A that has air.
Did you realize there were so many things to think about with a tow vehicle? This is exactly why we wanted to try it.
So anyway, this is the Demco wireless system that plugs into the 12 volt.
I think they could have come up with a better name.
Demco. Anyway, so the Demco basically sends a signal up when the brakes are depressed in the tow vehicle, and it does it wirelessly. That way I didn't have to worry about wiring up. We could pick up any motorized RV we want. We have our own Roadmaster bars. We plug into their hitch. We put in the 7-way. I plug the Demco in the front, and we're good. And we're good to go. Gas, diesel, air, doesn't matter. So anyway, and that's what we did. And we did the tire minder. Look at that. You can see us with this.
Okay, hit that button.
Oh, what are we giving away?
We're giving away these.
So Tire Minder sends this, and this happens from time to time. They send us stuff, and I'm like,
is it okay if we give this away?
Well, I don't even ask. I'm giving it away. So, here we go. This is
really cool.
Well, this is the temperature thing. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And then this is the tire. This is a tire gauge that's like super fancy. Super fancy.
Yeah. This
Okay.
is very cool.
Hold on. Trying to get to my thing here.
Here we go.
No,
Is it
not
drum roll?
nowhere near. I'm trying to find the app. I'm trying to find the
It's
app.
right there, right there.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Hit the button. 6:39. All right, hold on. I'll be right back. I got to dig
Here we
into
go.
Excel
Okay,
here.
so we've got a
6:39.
5-year warranty
6:39.
on this digital reader. And you say that you don't need anything else besides these two products.
Corey Glassburn. Corey Glassburn out of Texas. Corey, are you here? I always like it when you're here. You know, we should give away the mullet, Justin.
I want the mullet.
That's
Justin, you don't want the mullet.
Yes,
It's
you
worn
do.
by
No.
everybody.
We get him a new one.
Oh, a new one. Okay,
We
sure.
give away.
Yeah.
Give away these things.
Okay, Justin, I think right now we're just going to give you the mullet, not the mullet, because that would be great.
Justin gets a mullet.
Justin gets a mullet. Okay, so here we go. So we'll.
There's so many things that we're due for deleted scenes. I got to do a deleted scenes of the between the seasons.
Yes.
Because there were so many things that just to keep the videos going along. So
Well,
I got
there's
them.
so much stuff that
There's
we
so
just
much.
leave
There's
out.
so much nonsense. And so I got my glasses on. I got my mullet on, and Eric's getting the boat out, and I go up. You know, that's what I was wearing when I was talking to Eric in the video. But I mean, the camera was never on me. And so anyway,
I can't believe he kept his composure.
oh, he doesn't care.
I
His
know,
cousin Eddie.
he's
His
just
cousin Eddie.
rolls
He's
with
cousin Eddie.
everything.
That's normal.
That's why Caleb, they got along so well. They
Yeah,
just
nothing
roll,
phases. Nothing. Everything. They just go with everything.
Everything.
So anyway, Tammy comes out and she says, "Oh Lord, I hope you wear that all day long." That was the
Okay.
response to the mullet.
Tammy is so much fun. Okay, you can't be married, like to a Caleb, right? And not just be a total blast. So anyway, she was so much fun to be with, so relaxed, so like she just knows everything. She's like, we were talking about our teardrop and the
Mhm.
Jeep, and we are like, well, yeah, I forgot like how much it tows, and boom, she had the number, and she just knows stuff. She's
Yeah.
in charge.
Yes.
So anyway, I really enjoyed hanging out with both of them.
Okay. Is that the same, Justin? Justin, don't let us take away the mullet here by talking about throwing shade on the Speedo. Okay. I'm very
Not the Speedo.
I'm very disappointed. Actually,
so
here's the
glad.
deal, Justin.
Okay.
Here's the deal. You get a new mullet from Amazon, you get the same Speedo.
Ew! Oh gosh!
No.
What else
Okay,
is
look.
on this
No.
thing?
Hold on. Real quick about
Okay.
the Speedo. I'm so disappointed that didn't show up.
That came up at the end of the interview with Eddie.
And the reason that didn't show up is because we could not drone anywhere in Florida. I mean, it was so ridiculous. So I keep using the same drone shot of us going into
Our one drone
our
shot.
one drone shot going into St. Augustine, because that was a particular area outside of Class D airspace, right before a wild preserve where,
Right.
where it was legal to fly. But
One
almost
little spot.
almost everywhere in Florida has some military base. We couldn't fly at all. So my big plan was to wear the Gus hat in the Speedo, stand up paddleboarding, but we couldn't get the drone up, and then we kind of ran out of time, and then we beelined home. But anyway,
I'm so glad that didn't happen.
I'm
Okay,
bringing
so
the Speedo.
Can we move on?
Okay.
Okay. All right. So look, we have questions.
Well, we've answered a lot.
Okay.
So Megan had a great question. She said, if you could repeat any season, which would it be?
Okay.
Trish?
I can't say I want to repeat any of them because they were all like so, I don't know. They were all amazing and hard at the same time, to be honest. Like, because you're traveling with your family, you're trying to keep everything going and moving. I can't let me up in the mirror. But
You know,
I
I
do
will
like
say-
season 1 because it was like our family
Mm-hmm.
just going out on a trip. Like we were just like seeing everything new for the first time. But I think if we were to repeat a season, it would be to go back to New Zealand and see New Zealand.
Yeah.
Because there was so much that we left on the table.
We really want to get to Australia
Mhm.
too.
Mhm.
And we really want to get to Great Britain. And we think these would be fun places to kind of share. And by the way, we want to do this not in like a full season. It'd be
We
like
go from New Zealand to Australia and Great Britain.
in Great Britain.
That's yours.
But anyway, we'll probably do that in a
Yours? Do you have a season?
Well, what I was going to say about that when you talked about what
Like
did you-
favorite. Do you have
Favorite.
something favorite?
No, I guess I don't.
Oh, you don't have a favorite?
Well, I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh, you're thinking about, well, I think that you did a really good job with Alaska. That's what I think.
What do you mean?
Well, not only were you recording, I mean, I help do stuff,
Mhm.
a lot of stuff, but you're like on point.
You know, one question that Eddie was on Eddie's list and he didn't get to in the
Uh-huh.
interview was how much planning goes into the episodes and like storyboarding? And I would say
there's no story.
No. Very little. Very little. I think one of the things that
well, like I'm going to buy a mullet and I'm going to walk on the beach. And then I say, no, we're not going to do that. That's
but
the only
there's very little planning.
around.
But the only planning, the only strategery that happens is I now, after doing this for so long, have a fairly good sense of when we have a gaping hole.
Of a how did
of a
you
story.
Get from Texas to Arizona?
Like for instance, I'll give you a great example. This is a question you didn't even ask. Well, I guess you did ask. It got upvoted, but it didn't make it in time because we talked about other stuff. Okay, Sunday's episode on that Peterbilt. If you've noticed, the lens had a whole bunch of spots in it. We just got off the boat with Tammy and Eric.
Yes,
we got off the boat from Tammy and Eric. We were only going back to the house. We knew we were leaving that night, so Trish wanted to go get some produce, so we didn't have to go to the store. And I knew that there's no way that was going to make it on the episode because I knew we'd be pushing the time limits. And so as a result, that's why I teed up the Ted getting his keys in the beginning, because I thought if that episode ends right here, I'm going to need a way to get to Ted's semi-truck. That's the only planning that goes involved in KYD, is me just kind of knowing how are we going to mix a Peterbilt tour into this. That's the only planning. Everything else is just purely spontaneous. And we kind of like just letting the camera roll.
Yes.
It's fun.
Yeah.
We like sharing it. Anyway, so did we answer that question? So all right. So a lot of questions. Oh, we talked about Charlie's voice, right?
Yes.
It's an app.
But it has the wrong inflection on the words. So then we'll have to change the sentence around to have the inflection on the correct word.
Does anyone know? Does anyone not know how to spell a word so you change the entire sentence to avoid the word altogether? Anybody else do that, or just me? Okay, that's how it kind of is with Charlie. I'll put in something that I think is really funny, but the way that the computer reads it, it's like, oh, it didn't work, and so I have to come up with a new way for him to say it.
Yes.
Junior King talk about music. So Luke, who is here, because I saw him comment earlier. Luke is up in Montreal.
Another Mexico season. Yeah.
So Luke created a playlist.
Yes, he did.
Of all the songs that are on Spotify. And so you can go check it out. If you go to Spotify and type in like KYD, you'll see some playlists. I listen to it all the time when I'm jogging, which is cool. So you can check that out. But otherwise, I mean, we subscribe to about 4 royalty-free music platforms. And, I spend hours each week listening to music. And sometimes it's really stressful because
sometimes it is. And then sometimes it comes on and we both look at each other
like, oh, that's awesome.
Yes.
And then a couple weeks ago, I was listening to a song and Trish said that would be great for the season 10 premiere video. So I download it, I label it season 10 premiere class A, because I'll never find it again.
Because for New Zealand, we picked, I think, like 3 songs, and we're like, oh, those are great New Zealand songs, because they kind of had like, New Zealand is like Alaska and Hawaii had a baby. That's what New Zealand is like. And so there's kind of like a tropical but adventurous vibe. Anyway, these are the things we think about. And we found like certain songs for it and we forgot to use them. Yeah. Because they weren't like in a proper folder. So anyway,
So Brazen Brits asked about last week's video. He said this Sunday's video was fun and upbeat. Somebody said on our video to Florida, said, I hope you guys are okay because your music seems, pretty sad.
Very sad.
And I probably do choose nostalgic music for these drive days because that's kind of how drive days seem. They're kind of nostalgic, and you're sitting down, you're looking out the window and that type of stuff. Yeah. So I do probably choose nostalgic thing. But we've had friends with other musician friends, and they're like, man, that's how singer songwriters. That's how they are.
Yes.
Like they really get into the emotion of things, and so
right. Oh yeah, you don't ever lose like a breakup or something. You're like, wait a minute, hold on, I'll be right back. I gotta go write down the song.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway,
exactly.
Okay, so is there a place or situation we would avoid? Oh,
that was a great question. Jay Drummer asks about: is there a place or situation that we would avoid? Do you have one? I forgot to tell you that was on the question.
No, I mean, I knew that, but I don't think so. I mean, you just have to trust your gut. So if you pull in somewhere, it could be an RV park, it could be a Walmart parking lot, it could be sometime.
If it doesn't feel right, you got to go.
Yeah, one time I pulled into a grocery store and I was like, or I'm not doing this. So, and I probably have a higher alert system than you do when I'm alone by myself out doing things. So I'm
not when I have my mullet on. Nothing. I am fazed by nothing.
Going anywhere.
Nothing. If I got the mullet and the air horn, just stand back. Stand back.
Okay, so I want to go back to Emily's question. Will Carson be joining us this summer? It's not that Carson's not joining us. He's going to be with us all summer. It's just, we say over and over again, like, start small, start now. And there's a different timeline for everyone. Like, some people have their kids, some people are retired, but no matter what phase you are in life, you could come up with reasons why, maybe not now, maybe later. And just like getting out there and making these special little moments. All of that is to lead up to say that Carson's over it. Okay. He has a mission. He wants to go to a certain school. He wants to fly. He wants, tell me where I'm going to be so that I can take my test and I can go get my hours in and I want to work. He has a mission. And we're not going to get in front of that. Like, it sounds like, oh, this is so funny, we're going to go on a trip. No, we did the trip and he was there and he was 100% in, and then he grew up. And so, anyway, and so it's like, if you have kids, I'm not saying full-time is the way to go, because I think that you can get amazing adventures on the weekends. That's just my philosophy. You do whatever works for you, but steal that time, because that time will go away. Either you won't be able to do RVing or whatever, or maybe your kids are super involved and you won't be able to do it. If you feel like you have a window, you got to bust through. And because, just like this question, will Carson be joining you? No, our life has to be around what they need now because they're older. So anyway, I just give that little piece for you to chew on, to think, okay, am I capitalizing on my little moments?
Well, and you've heard me before talk about like a perfect dream and everything has to be perfect. And I know, like, we get comments in the videos, we shouldn't have driven 1,500 miles. You should only drive this many miles. It's so easy to apply idealism to RV life. This is how I'm going to be in this rig. I'm only going to drive this many days. We want to compartmentalize or create.
Then you know how to prepare. So I can totally see why people do it.
Yeah, it's to create security,
right?
To make it feel like you're in control, because out of control. But the fact of the matter is, we just continue to adapt. And when something's not right, you just adapt. And if something doesn't feel right, you adapt. And then you're like, and it's not working for someone anymore, and then you adapt.
You have to adapt.
And maybe you got to book flights to go home and take care of family, or you just change and evolve, and that's what's happening.
Right. So anyway, I just wanted to go back to that because I do think it's important to just remember.
Oh, someone is asking if Carson's going to do Air Force or Navy. I don't know. He's just been like,
he's 100% Air Force.
100% Air Force. And
I've said so many times, can we just go tour Annapolis? Okay. So, but we need to back up, because first of all, to get into any of those schools is a huge deal.
Yeah.
So, and then they have a summer session, and they just wrote him an email and they said, sorry, we have limited seats, and they did not invite him to the summer session, and he put in his resume and the whole thing. And so, it's just like, you have very little control. You can only do what you can do and show up the way you're supposed to show up. And then it's their decision. So, this summer we'll also be looking around at other schools. So maybe he could do ROTC for the Air Force too. So he's not into that idea. That was my idea, but you got to have more than one plan. You really do, so that you can remain flexible. It's not in your hands. If you can't, if you're not 100% in control, you need to have some, you got to have some maneuverability. So anyway,
so funny.
So, yeah.
Hey, here's a tip for anybody that has kids out there that you want to go to any of the academies. When we were in Mackinac Island, the Coopers, I think, from the videos, the Bill Cooper's family relative works for the Congress office.
Yes.
And she says, when the kids call in to get the endorsement from the senator or from their congressman, they make a little note if the mom called. I don't want to say that you're out if the mom called, but they make a little note that says,
Mom wants them to go to this school.
So if you have a kid that you want to go to this and you want to call the center, you might want to have your kid do. I mean, not that you would have called.
I
anyway.
would have never.
You would have never done that.
Only because I think that you have to go through the process. Because if you don't go through the process, you're probably not right for the goal.
But I do think it's important to know how some Congress offices are set up, right?
I was like, oh,
okay. So
Carson was sitting next to me and he goes, "You've never called there, have you?" And I go, "No, I have never called there."
Meaning, he wouldn't put it past Trish.
He wouldn't put it past me.
But it didn't happen.
I'd like to get things done, but I absolutely
Maritime Academy. I
make
agree.
sure that he does it.
Maritime Academy.
So yes,
that'd be good. Anyway, he wants to fly, and so
we'll see what happens.
It's personally, I want to make sure that Carson.
I will let him know. Maritime.
And I want to make sure, we just want to make sure Carson is set up for finishing his ticket this summer. That's what I would like for him to finish his ticket.
Okay. How are we closing out here? Did we catch everything?
No, Tina asks about connecting with other insiders.
Ooh, very cool, Tina.
We're working on, a lot of people ask for a flag. I agree. I kind of like, in the boating world, you've got a little pennant, and the little pennant says,
how many nautical miles?
Yeah, nautical miles. I think it'd be cool to have like a little KYD insider pennant so that you can see kind of who's around. Because I will say, KYD insiders are awesome.
Everyone's so much fun. It makes things so fun.
It cuts the chase right away. You kind of immediately have a connection.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun. So I think it'd be great to have a way to connect with other people in the campground. Campgrounds are generally pretty friendly, but I think it depends a lot upon how friendly and outgoing you are. A lot of people are commenting lately and they're like, Mark, you're like an ultra extrovert talking to all these people. It's like, at this point, KYD is now like KYD.
We have a lot of fun people to connect with.
People are connecting with us, and we're just having a lot of fun. So it's easy. Mm-hmm. It's so easy. They're like, "Hey, Mark."
It makes connecting easy and fun.
It cuts to the chase because they know everything, and then we're able to immediately go into like me recording them, which is great because if it's like,
and think about how awkward that is, right? Like he's just holding a camera.
Did you notice in the Techno RV video when I was holding the camera? And who is it? Evan that was having a conversation, and then she notices the camera. She's like, "Oh my gosh!" Right? That's how it normally is. The camera's bizarre.
Yeah.
And so when you have people that we meet on the road that follow the channel,
they know that's what's going to happen.
They know, and it's cool and it's easy and it makes it easy. So anyway, the flag would be a way to make it easy. We're working on that,
but we're working on other things too.
We're working on other apps. We I guess want to say. We've heard this request.
We are not working on apps.
We're not working on an app.
That is not miscommunicated. We are not.
We're working on a lot of stuff.
Doing that.
An app is not one of them. But we are, we're obviously talking with Nate at Less Junk, and we're finding out other solutions.
Do you have a way for us to do a private group in your app? So anyway, we'll see what they come back and say.
Yeah.
So anyway.
This was kind of a long one, but it was kind of fun.
We went 11 minutes over. There's no real over, right?
No, there's no over.
But we kind of think it's going to be an hour. So, flag breaks the ice. So anyway, thank you for being here.
Yeah.
11 minutes over. We hope that you're going to have an awesome week. And we love connecting. So,
Brian, the solo stove gives off more heat than a fire. And it does that.
It's very hot.
It does that because when the smoke comes up, it gets caught on that little rim. And it gets put back down and then it burns up through. So it burns hotter, which is why there's less smoke is because it's burning hotter. Mm-hmm. And then the stainless steel is getting hot. Mm-hmm. The thing is just hot, which is awesome.
Yeah,
I love it.
Awesome.
I love it. And then you've got the walls. So the wind isn't dissipating and it goes straight up. So anyway, that's my little solo stove. We've been digging the solo stove.
Never even considered having one. And then when we were over at the Miles campsite and they had it, we were like, so anyway, now it's like revolutionized our thing, but it is pricey.
It is kind of expensive.
It is pricey,
but I will tell you, it's a standard equipment now for our travels.
Mm-hmm. Comes in a little bag.
But I'll tell you what, though, here's the drawback. We went to the Grand Canyon. No burn day. Yeah. We went to Apache. It was Arizona.
So there's no burning here because you could just light the whole place up. So if you're not responsible with your fires. So
anyhow,
okay.
All right. Well, this was fun. Thank you for tuning in.
Questions.
And this is going to be a fun season. It's going to be fairly unpredictable. Last year was unpredictable. This year is going to be unpredictable.
Yeah.
But we're going to have fun. We're excited to kick off season 10 next week. I'm started editing today, instead of Wednesday, because it's such a big video. And then we got Summer to Remember to launch on Sunday, which we're super excited about. So don't miss that. And then,
and that's that.
That's that.
Okay. It was good. Do you have anything else you want to do?
I'm looking around. looking at some notes,
It was
looking at
good.
some things. It was,
It
good.
was good. Farewell.
It was
Mwah, mwah. Good night.
All right. All right. Talk to you later. We'll see you soon.
Bye.